Hi everybody, my name is Monica Cesarato, a food and travel blogger in Venice. Welcome to Venice Meets, a series of live chats from Instagram every day at 6 p.m. CET. Today I will be talking to Lilli Muller, German-born multimedia artist, sculptor and community activist from Los Angeles.
Hello, Lilli.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, you got
How are you?
beautiful light. I like that. Oh, I need to understand how to do that.
I couldn't figure out the lighting because I'm here in the studio. It's very foggy outside today.
Yeah, it looks
It's more
beautiful.
fog.
So, Lilli, introduce yourself because I know who you are, but not the people who are watching. So, who is Lilli Muller?
I'm actually from Germany originally, but I came here to the US a long time ago. I'm an artist. I do installation work. I do drawings. I do some paintings, more sculptural kind of work.
Uh-huh.
And I do a community. I did a lot for Los Angeles arts community, working with children and participating in nonprofit groups to help other artists or launch, other shows, curating shows for other people, and trying to lift everybody up in a lot of different ways.
Of course.
So I ran a little gallery before, and I gave that to a friend of mine because I really don't want to run a gallery. I want to do my own work.
Okay, makes sense. But you're an artist. You're not an art dealer, are you?
No, I don't want. That's a tough job. That's even tougher than artist.
Well, I just think it's totally a different thing. An artist, you're creative. An art dealer, you're managerial. So they're two different things, are they?
Well, you kind of have to be both because you do have to make a living somehow. You have to figure out how to monetize some of it.
Okay.
Although it was never really the primary goal, was never about making the money. It's more about getting work out that is valid, that people can relate to, that actually lifts people up, that heals, or whatever it does, empowers people, inspires people to follow their own passion, that kind of, that kind of work I like to do.
Okay.
Versus, work,
Which part of Germany do you come from?
North Bavaria. So north of Nuremberg, it is a town called Coburg, and Coburg is a very old Renaissance town. Beautiful. We have two castles in town. So I grew up.
Okay.
We have one in the city and then one old middle-aged castle up on top of the hill.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful area there because it's very rich. It was a very rich town. Theater, very famous theater for startup artists, theater artists, singers, and in all over Europe. Yeah, that was always the stepping stone to perform. So that's sort of the cultural environment I grew up in. And then I came to the US. Different.
So how did you end up in the US then? And whereabouts are you now in California?
I'm in Los Angeles, like outskirts of Los Angeles right now. Yeah.
So how did you end up there? How did you get?
How did I end up?
Yeah.
Oh, that is a whole entire book this thick.
Oh my God.
I basically decided before I go to art school in France, which was my plan, my original plan, and to move to France, I decided to travel for 6 months across the US by myself. And I embarked on the journey. My parents were horrified. And I traveled from New York I took the northern route through the Dakotas and Wyoming and Colorado and Yellowstone Park, all the way up to Seattle, West Coast.
Oh, wow.
And then all the way down the West Coast. And I ended up in LA and then met a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing. And I ended up in Orange County, and then his mother said, if you want to stay here, I can help you find an apartment. And I had nothing. I was like beginning my 20s. I had no portfolio. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was trained as a graphic designer.
Right.
So, but this was like early stages. I barely spoke English. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
School. So then I ended up getting out of the blue. This friend of a friend said, I have a girlfriend. She works in a graphic design studio in Newport Beach. And you should go there and see if you get a job. And my dad says, if you don't get a job, you have to come back. And my visa was running out. So I went there with no portfolio, no nothing, with my Fiorucci outfit that I had on in the 80s. And I will never forget the day. I barely understood what they were talking about, and I talked my way through it. And the guy says, "You're hired." I think he's cute. You're hired. We can make this work.
It's like a film. We should do a film about this.
Oh God, the whole entire trip is a whole film too. Like the whole cross-country trip, because I was by myself and I did so many bizarre encounters.
Isn't it funny when you are in your between 18 to 20, you come out of school and stuff, the risks and the things that you do, but when you're much older, you think, oh my God, what did I do? But at the same time, when it's happening, it is so normal. It's just, okay. I know. I remember I moved to UK when I was 18, 19. And I remember walking in London at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning on my own, but not even in areas of London that you shouldn't be walking alone, because it was back in those days, it was Peckham, it was Brixton, it was that kind of area. But back then, it was in the 80s, end of the 80s, 90s, it was like the Bronx, so it wasn't very, you know what I'm saying? And that was fine. I never had any problem whatsoever. Now, if I think about it, oh my God.
I think there's something to be said to be young and innocent and just don't think beyond yourself. There's a good thing and not a good thing, but I think that's how we grow. And I think that is an important thing. We just have to freaking leap and do it. And I think when everything sort of comes together and it flows, like I got my job like literally 3 weeks before I had to leave. It was meant to be. I'm like, screw France. I can always move to France later. Let's do this. Here we are, like 30 years later. My daughter is 27, right? So here I am. And now I'm looking forward moving to Venice. I'm moving to Venice.
Now we get there, because you have to understand, people, that me and Lily do not know each other. We started talking a few days ago because Alison said to me, you have to talk to this woman. You have to have her on your chat. You're gonna love her. She says, you have. I said, okay, I trust Alison, says you have to know, because she's an amazing artist, and you see when you talk to her. Now, so what's this connection with Venice? Apart from wanting to move here, but okay, I get it. Venice, well, if people, I think if artists don't move, if Venice is made of artists, so that's the people that we want in the city anyway. So, but what's the connection? But why Venice?
It's interesting, because I always wanted to, in the last about 10, 15 years, things changed. And I wanted to move back to Europe because I really miss using my languages. I speak 3 languages. I always wanted to learn Italian, which I'm sorry to say, but not there yet. I'm on Babbel, section like 4.
It's a very hard language. I teach you, I know, it's hard.
Yeah, but I learn languages pretty fast, especially when I'm in the country. It's a lot easier. And I travel a lot when I was still over there. And I miss the culture. I miss a lot of culture. I miss going to different cultures within hours.
Yes.
And I sort of miss my roots in a way. And I'm at the point right now where I used up all the freedom that the US has given me to find my voice in an artistic way.
What?
And I'm ready to bring that voice back to my roots and then merge it in a way that becomes something else that I can just pass forward, so to speak. I don't know how to explain it really well, but that's sort of, I've been drawn more to that. I mean, I literally become one of those tourists we used to bitch about and used to say, oh my God, they photograph every single cobblestone. What's wrong with these people, right?
And then you start doing too.
And now I'm going home visiting my parents, and I'm taking like photos of these reliefs on the church window and everything. And she's like, what's wrong with you?
But as an artist, you have the excuse, because you're artist, now that you have got these great, I think, opportunities that, it's not going around with a camera, but you just can put on your phone and you get to see something, and then it's there. I think it's a great tool to as an artist. Yeah,
It is.
because I'm even if I don't look, I mean, I'm a terrible, I can't draw for no love or no money, but I'm the daughter of a painter, if you can believe it. And he actually is a very good painter too, yeah? And he always annoys me because he sees something and he's like, and 2 seconds is like identical. I go like, what? Okay, yeah, let me try to do a circle and it becomes like a square thingy. Okay. And I always said to my dad that he's technological, but up to a point. So he's got his computer, he can mess about with it and everything, he can even fix one. But phones, he doesn't want a smartphone at all. But he's a photographer, so wherever he goes around with his cameras, tripods, and everything. And I know that it's not just about taking photos; it's because then he can use them and.
Yeah, you remember it. You just capture that one moment. That'll just spark your inspiration, but you're in the middle of something else. So you can just freeze frame it for a moment, because once you see that, it totally comes back. Your whole association over, like, a whole entire DNA chart, basically. Yeah. It'll all come back to what you were thinking, what you were going to do with this idea, or whatever it was, words, whatever inspires you, basically. Yeah, it's fascinating.
You want to come back to Venice. So you've been to Venice before, I assumed. Yeah.
When I about 20 years ago, my daughter was, she was about 20 years ago. When she was 6, I signed up for a marble carving workshop for 3 months in Pietrasante.
Oh,
nice. And so I took my daughter with me. I'm a single mom, so what am I going to do? And then my parents said, they were in their 60s, and my parents said, we always wanted to go to Italy. You know what? We just come down for 3 months, rent an apartment, take care of your daughter, and you can work. And I'm like, yes.
Free babysitting, yes.
Oh, yeah, they were like eating the ice cream and doing all the stuff. My daughter learned a little bit of Italian, and I was just working really hard on marble. I've never worked with stone before, so it was really hard work. Wow. Yeah. And then one trip we took, one in my group, one of the guys was a son of an American Indian chief who had never been off the reservation.
Wow.
But these guys work with like major hammers and air hammers and do giant sculptures of eagles. That guy was working incredible stuff, but very different, obviously, from Italian aesthetics, But it was really fascinating. So my parents, we befriended each other, and we took him all over the place. So we went to Venice that one day. It just blew his mind. Wow. I mean, you have to imagine, he was in the Midwest at one of the Navajo Indian reservation, never out. And here he is in Venice we did a gondola. We had to do a gondola. Right?
Of course.
Always. I don't care how touristy it is. I always go on a gondola.
Depends on where you do it. I mean, if you do it in St. Mars, yes. But if you're smart enough to do it off the peak hours and you do it in the small canals, this is a fantastic experience. That's even better. If you get some friends that are not gondoliers and you do it with people that row, that's even better. So when you come to Venice, you go to do that.
Yes. I always with my girlfriend, we always get like the Prosecco, our 2 glasses, and we're going to do this right now. In the side canals, right? So anyway, and so then I went back again. A couple years later, a friend of mine still lived there, and so we visited her with my daughter, and I kind of started to do some excursions, and I thought, oh, this would be really amazing. And then ever since I moved to Laguna Beach, which was before I even had my daughter, I always said, one day I'm going to be at the Venice Biennale. I said, one day I'm going to have my retrospective at the Guggenheim and the Venice Biennale. Okay. So it was funny because I conceptualized a couple years back a project that I would like to do in the church, because it was in the height, 2017 was the height of the refugee crisis. Mm-hmm. And since I'm European and I know, we're very much in tune with politics, international and all of that. So it was very rough on the Europeans, the EU everybody was struggling. And I always had this thing about, we have to open people's minds for tolerance. If it's racism or whatever it is, gender discrimination and abuse in any which way. So that's a lot of my work based on my own experience and other people's experience. So I thought I need to do something. So I came up with this concept. And I at that point, I already was doing a lot of participatory projects. So I'm doing installation, but they're created with the community together. We're all creating this within the community for a specific amount of time, and then everybody can take a piece home. So it all dissolves.
Beautiful.
So I ran it by a friend of mine who is Italian, and she said, "Oh my God, this would be perfect. Can I curate it? I'll help you. We'll do it in Venice." So in 2017, she arranged it with Maria Chiara from the Venezia News, and I think you probably know her, and a few other people to get together with the Fondazione, with the Bovolo, what do you call it? Fondazione, right?
Yeah, foundation.
Fondazione Bovolo or something. And they arranged it for me to have 2 months the Zitelle on Giudecca to do this installation with this boat inside the church.
Wow.
So the concept was we're building a life-size fishing boat inside the church, take the pews out, and then I will be in the little chapel inside the church. I have my casting, like a plastic casting station set up, and I'm doing live castings for, I think it was 4 weeks or 6 weeks, I can't remember. And everyone that walked in the church had to give me their arm, and then we were doing a plaster replica of their arm.
Wow.
And then we take these arms and then we put them vertically into the boat in the church. And I'll show you a quick picture so people will.
Oh, I'm so annoyed I missed that now. Oh, wow. Yeah, I missed that. Oh.
This is what it looked like.
Oh.
And then after we were done, after the last weekend, everybody could come. So everything was named. Everybody had their own. So people came from, because of the Biennale, everybody from all around the world. Some people, there was this one lady from Holland. She came 3 times. She flew back home and brought more friends. And then they came to pick up all of their arms to take it back.
Beautiful.
I had like one lady from England took hers back. She kept writing me. So then the last weekend, everybody could come to the church and pick up as many arms as they wanted to take home.
Wow.
That was the first project. And because I was really entrenched in it for over a month, it was really good to meet all these people, art people, everyone from all around the world. And I really felt this is where I need to be.
Well, but that is also the art quarters of Venice anyway. It's become the art quarters even more so now in the last 2 or 3 years. There really has been, all the association that tried to turn Giudecca into the art districts of Venice with all the different galleries and stuff, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And a lot of artists live in the island because of that, or they have a workshop and so on. So, are you actually coming back to do? When is it? It's been okay, whatever. Yeah, are you gonna?
It's a completely different scenario, but this was in 2017. So I made a book out of it, which I just showed you, and then 2 years later, I conceptualized another project because it was not just a refugee per se, but it was all about global displacement because we're all displaced by wars, by environment, and inequality, and all of those things. So I said, I want to do something similar, but not directly to the refugee crisis with the boat people, even though it was all still part of that in Europe. Because it's still really, really bad. So I actually associated myself with the one of the NGOs with the rescue boats on the Mediterranean Sea. They gave me a lot of footage, and I decided to do a room installation with fishnets and clothes and a video. I fully instead of people participating actually in creating it, I had people participating by being immersed inside the space. And let the space work on them. So for the collateral event last year's Biennale, 2019, I had one of the spaces down at the Arts District over there by the boatyard in Giudecca.
Yes.
And I was given a space, and so this is where Alison comes in because I met a good friend of mine in 2017. She's been German, lives in Switzerland, and also has been there for 30 years. She knows everyone in Venice.
Oh, she does. She does. She definitely does.
So Marley's introduced me, and I got the space really last minute, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to get the money together, the funding together, and I have 3 months to do this. So I called Marley's up and I said, I need fishnets, because the whole thing is I need fishnets and I need clothes. And she says, I have the perfect people. Call Allison.
Yeah, of course.
And she knows all. She works with the fishermen in Burano. She can get you fishnets. No, galore. So I called her up and she's so sweet. And it was all fell together. So her friend gave me the fishnets, these old, amazing handmade fishnets. They're just an art piece in itself. And so we picked those up. Then she told me to go to the church. Oh God, what was it called again? The church in the middle of the city. Well, there's 50,000 of them. And she,
100.
I have to really think about it. I can't think about it right now. I'm really sorry.
Lilli, the church near the bridge in the temple.
But anyway, she told me, I know this guy who works at the little thrift shop at the church. Go to him. He has clothes, because it's the only church in Venice that collects all the clothes from the whole Veneto. And they give it to the poor people and to the refugee organizations and everything else. And they have a little thrift shop there. And so I met with the guy, and he's like, oh my God, yes, Marley's already told me about it. You can have as many clothes as you want. And I said, what do you want for it? And he says,
Marisa tells me, Marisa Convento tells me San Luca.
San Luca, sì. And so then they gave me the clothes, and I gave him €1 per piece. So I got over 600 pieces. I gave him a donation. He was so happy.
Oh, of course.
The donation for the church. I took all the clothes. I had the crew pick it up with the boat. We went in the space, and I had the entire space laid out with clothes.
Wow.
So you had to walk on top of people's clothes.
Oh, wow.
And inside the space, all the fishnets from Burano were hanging there. So it was kind of like an obstacle course to move through the space.
Cool.
And then I basically took the drawings. I had drawings done of hands, close-up of hands and eyes. And I basically hung these, I blew them up, and I hung these original drawings all over the space. So you really were inundated with emotion.
Wow.
And then I soundtrack over it, which was Gorecki's Symphony No. 3,
Wow.
which was all about the children of war and the mother mourning the children of war and all of that, and the children looking for the families and all of these. It was that kind of subject matter. And then in the corner, I had a section where there was a video. I had a 13-minute video of the NGO rescuing people out of the Mediterranean Sea in those little dinghy boats off the coast of Libya.
Of course.
So people could really understand what it feels like, a little bit closer than what we get from the news.
Well,
and that was my intention. People were literally crying in that space, sobbing, crying, and being really intense. And that's what I like to invoke. I like to invoke dialogue with emotion. And so you have to emotionally engage people. And a lot of people are very disconnected because of the devices as well, of these emotions we can hide behind, you know,
it's on a screen. It's cold, and I think because you keep seeing all these images, it's like just what's happening even now. If you think about it, with all the numbers that every day come out of the people that are dying, the numbers, they are numbers. That's all they are numbers.
Yes.
Until you get a phone call and you hear, my friend's father is in hospital, or my cousin, or whatever, and then it's not a number anymore.
Right.
But if that doesn't happen, they are numbers, just cold numbers.
And that's what the problem always was, because people have such quick opinion about it. Oh, the refugees, and they take our jobs away, and they make us all sick, and this and that and the other, and they're bad people and whatever. And I think once it started getting real by the people actually had to walk into the space on top of clothes. A lot of them freaked out over that alone, because all of a sudden they realized there's dead people floating in the sea. You know, and then when you see the interviews, I had a couple of rescue missions plus personal interviews with people that are on the boat. Then it became real. They had a name. They told them the experience in Libya and how horrifying the situation is. And they rather die in sea and try to possibly make it because they're going to die in Libya anyway. So it was that
I totally get it. I mean, years ago, I met somebody who lives here, and he's actually he's been here, I think, now 30 years as well. And he actually arrived. Now he's settled. He's a mechanic. He's not just a professional mechanic. He has his own business. You know, married with a local girl, whatever. But he comes from Ivory Coast or something like that. And he told me to get here, he had to walk from the Ivory Coast to the coast of Tunisia, Morocco, something like Algeria, something like that. He had to go through the desert. He was in prison, tortured. He managed to escape. Then he managed to get on the boat. Arrived, he said, I arrived illegally in Italy, but not because I wanted to be illegal. I wanted to work from day one. Because I am a professional mechanic, I have got a degree. I mean, I know what I can work, and he was very, in a way, he was one of the lucky ones because when he arrived in Sicily, he's very friendly. He's got very nice attitude as a person. So I think he ran away from the camp one morning and he went to the baker, and he said to the baker, "I can bake bread. I can bake bread. Can I help you for free? All I want from you is if you give me some bread at the end of the day." Okay? And he became friends with the baker, and from there he started he got involved, whatever. And then after a few years, he finally got the permission to stay. He's got permit. He's married with a local girl, But one thing is watching on TV, and then he's becoming friend with somebody, actually hearing his stories, and you think, wow, it's so easy to say, oh yeah, why do they come over? I always say we got very short memory. All the Italians that went to America, all the Europeans that went to America, people have been migrating since we were human beings.
And the wars were not so long ago. If you really think about the time frame, it wasn't that long ago. We forget. Yeah. I mean, as Europeans, we don't forget that slow. I mean, we understand it more, but when I talk to people here in the US, it's very difficult to help them understand that, because if you go, my daughter's generation and younger, they have no idea, and they never really have seen war here except the Civil War.
But not because at the end of the day, America's made out of people that come out that left their own countries. That's what
That's what the country's made of. I know. It's and people forget that.
I know, because even in Italy, I always say when I have arguments, even in these days, every so often I get people sending me those, because of the quarantine, you get this meme here, this meme against the Chinese, and against the Chinese, and against this, and against that. And I keep saying, how, you forget when Italians went to the 1900s, they used to treat us like animals. We're doing exactly the same, and it's the same. When this year I went, I can't remember, this year, 2019 actually, when there was an exhibition in the ghetto about the propaganda that was done by the Italians during the fascist regime. And it was so interesting. By fascism and Nazis, it was so interesting to see the all the laws of propaganda, how you can turn around things just by changing the words, say certain things.
Oh yeah,
and there were some images. They were bombarding people with these images of Jewish people, and say, drawn them with a big nose, always dirty, and they kept saying it over and over, even if it wasn't true, but people over and over and over, and then it stayed in generations, because if you look at it, that propaganda that was used in the 40s, lo and behold, 60, 70 years on, sometimes when you talk to people.
It's still there, yeah. When it comes to your own livelihood, all of a sudden everybody starts to, shut down, and it's all of a sudden it's all me. Instead, we need to go outward. We need to work collectively in solidarity. That's what we need to get to somehow in this world.
And that's why it's so important, I think, and it's such a pity sometimes that countries don't understand where art comes from, because you can teach this at school, and you should teach it at school as in history, all of this. But I think that's art with music, with all arts are the people that can actually express it in a more direct way, because some people don't want to stay there listening to numbers, words, and things. It's got to be visual. Some people react faster to visual, and that's what I.
Because the visual becomes emotional. We have to get to emotional response, and that's the humanitarian. That's the humanity of it. Because as long as we deal with people in numbers and colors and statistics, we don't have an emotional response. We need, and the art brings out the emotional response, and I think that kind of invokes change, that invokes dialogue, conversation, exchange of stories, and learning from each other. And I think that is our only way out of this.
And I think also one great thing of art is that you don't even need to speak the same language. You don't even need to speak to each other. You can just easily communicate.
It's a universal language. Exactly. If it's music, if it's performance, it's all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's really fast.
And it's such a pity that in worldwide, I think, because I don't think it's only Italy. I think it's in America, everywhere. Art nowadays is considered like, oh, okay, we got some money extra, let's give it to art, and it's such a pity. I mean, I remember I was lucky that when I went to school, art history was still part of, even though my school wasn't to do with art, it was language school, but it was still part. It was important. But I can see more and more slowly, unless you go to specific a certain type of school, it's totally taken away. And music and art, I mean, don't do the hours maybe that you do in a proper specific school, but we should still have mainly to train children, because I noticed so many kids are just not trained to go to a museum, to understand a museum.
I also think it is really for humanity and for personal development. It is essential. I don't even think you can cut it out of life. I think it is essential for our personal balance, people's balance, for emotional balance, for humanity, for that matter. I mean, are we going to self-destruct humanity, or are we going to move on and figure out a way how to not make it all about the money? Because
I'll ask you because I feel very strong about this. I know what I like and I know what I don't like. Okay, I'm not. I don't have an art background, so it's not like I studied art to say, oh. But for me, I need to go somewhere like what you were saying. It needs to give me, I need to walk in, and it doesn't matter if it's a bad or a good feeling, but it's got to give me a feeling. If I walk into a place and I look a picture or whatever it is, an installation, whatever, and it leaves me cold, okay, I just say, I don't like it. But sometimes, unfortunately, I see that when I do, because of course then you can become famous not necessarily because you're good. We know that on all fields in the life, okay? Yes, but it's everywhere, I realized sometimes I went to see some installation and I just didn't like it, and I just said it. It just doesn't tell me anything. And people were saying, oh, you don't understand anything. Shouldn't be the art. Yes, you got to understand it, but also it's personal, isn't it? As an artist, I'm asking you as an artist. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you get offended if somebody walk into your place and say, sorry, Lilli, to me, it doesn't move me? Would you get personally offended, or would you understand it?
I would totally understand it. And I had very few, though, but I had a couple people that one of them was a Russian person, and then the other one, I can't remember where he came from. Oh, from South Africa. He hated this installation. He walked through it and he says, I can't stand it. These people are all bad. I worked for 20 years in South Africa. They're all crooks. You can't trust them. And you couldn't really, I wasn't going to convince him. I said, you have your own opinion, but can you tell me how? And I engaged him in an hour-long conversation.
But
and I understand
he
that
hated it. He hated it. You still,
but that was feeling.
yeah, he still had a feeling. You understand? That's what I'm saying. You still provoked a feeling. I'm talking about sometimes a place I see some things and it's like, I'm just making a comment, but like a white painting with a dot. I look at it and I think, you're not telling me anything. Okay. And it's not a question to be able, not to be able to do it. It's really good. You're not telling me anything. I don't know. It's I know I feel sometimes I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you feel something or not, then it's just not, then I usually go in myself and say, I wonder how I can't evoke an emotion of any sort. I don't think I've ever had that happen, because everything that I look at, that I get that feeling that you're talking about, to me, that's couch art. That's like going into a hotel room and look at the art on the wall. It's kind of like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's decoration. It's window decoration.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? That is a whole different, and that is done with the purpose of commerce. And you can feel it and you can see it. So it has nothing to do with all that other stuff we're talking about. So yeah, it's interesting, but I get offended. I would always try to find out what it is or where they're at. And then you have them in the conversation. So obviously they still have an emotional reaction to it.
Yeah. But that's fun. So that's important. I always, art is you have a feel good or you feel bad. As I said, when you don't feel anything, is that art? No, it's not, is it? It's something else. Yeah. As you were saying.
Yeah.
So are you coming over? Oh, Marisa wants to know an artist that you like.
An artist that I like is my mentor, Louise Bourgeois, because I met her in 1982 for the first time. And it was a crazy story because I saw an article. This was before she went internationally, well known. And they had an article in one of the fashion magazines, and I read this article, and it was kind of like a deja vu. Like I'm reading about myself when I'm in my 90s. It was literally like that. Very much parallel in the way we feel about life and the way we work and all of it. Was so bizarre and so strong. And I'm like, I don't know how old I was, mid-20s. And I said to my boyfriend at that time, I have to meet this woman. And he says, well, call her. So I'm like, seriously? I don't know what to say, but I have a strong urge to meet this woman. So I said, okay. And this was the days of, you have to call the information to get the number. This was telephone book time. So I got the information. I got a number and address in New York. And I called, and she answered the phone. And I was like so nervous. I couldn't figure out what I was going to say and why I needed to meet her. And it was the bizarrest thing. And so I kind of like scrambled my way. She's like, what do you want? Why do you want to talk to me? Why do you want to meet me? And she's like very much like very French. And who are you? And I said, I'm Lilli from Los Angeles. So ever since that time, all the way to her passing, every time I visited or I called,
you're Lilli from...
it's like Lilli from Los Angeles every single time. It's so funny. And something, I don't know what I said. I stumbled my way through the conversation. I love to meet you and I love to talk to you. Why do you want to do that? What do you want me to do? Want me to give you a show? I'm not doing that. Why do you want me to... I can't even, this conversation was such a blur. I was so traumatized because I had no clue what I was going to say.
And probably she has so many people calling her and wanting things from her. You just...
At that time, it was actually not even like that because it was literally just about to break. So it was this weird conversation. And all of a sudden she says, okay, you come. And it was like the middle of the week. She says, why don't you come by at noon on, or 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock tea time on Sunday? And I'm like, I'm in Los Angeles right now.
What's the visit to New York?
And I said, I can't come this weekend, but I can come like next month. And she's like, okay, call me up and talk to Jerry if I'm not on the phone. And we'll make a date on a Sunday, 1 o'clock tea time. I'm like, and bring your work. She says, bring your slides. I'm like, okay. So I hang up and I'm like completely like sweat and everything. Right? I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? And then I figured out, okay, I got to get to New York somehow. So I scrambled with my money and I booked the flight and then I called again and Jerry was on the phone, Goro boy. her longtime assistant. And he's like, okay, Sunday, like next week or whatever. I said, I'm there for the weekend, blah, blah, blah. So then and my dad happened to be in town on business. So I had breakfast with them, and I'm so nervous. So I'm running around the block by her house, and I don't know, it's West 16th Street or West 11th Street, and I'm running around, and I'm so nervous, I had too much coffee. So then I said, all I remember is I gotta eat some bananas. So I bought like this giant pound of banana, and I eat them as I'm running around the block because I was a half hour early.
As you do.
It was crazy. And then on the plane right here, I bought like right after this phone call, I bought this one interview, a tiny little book by Robert Storr, Interview with Louise Bourgeois. So I made notes in it because I had no concept, because I know she's going to ask me, what do you want here? And I have no answer. I still on the plane had no answer. And then when I'm running around the thing, I had my dialogue in my head. It was just crazy. So then I'm standing in front of that door. And I'm like, oh my God, my heart's out to here. And she opens the door and she's like, oh, here you are, Lily. Come on in, sit on the couch. I make a tea. And I'm like, so she leaves me in that room on the couch, and I'm sitting there with my slides. She says, put your slides over here on this table. So I'm putting my slides over there. And I'm like trying to run my dialogue through my head.
Yeah, because when you do that, you actually give yourself answers as well. And then you have all the different options of the answer, because what if she doesn't say this and she says something like, oh, no, I want to be ready. Yeah, I love that.
Oh, crazy. My head was spinning. And she must have seen it. She comes in with the teacups. She puts it there and he says, okay, why don't you go outside, talk to the birds until I call you back in. And I'm like, oh, he had that little backyard, right? And so she's looking at my slides, and I'm sitting there, and I'm finally like breathing. And I'm like, okay, this is all gonna be fine. I'll just wing it. It's gonna be fine. And then she called me in, and then we had this long conversation for the whole entire afternoon till about 5-ish. And my plane was running that night, and it was funny because she kept grilling me. Oh, this is window decoration. I don't know what you're talking about. Blah, blah, blah. And then she was badgering me. At one point, she empowered me. I got really mad at her because I was always holding back. She says, what do you want to say with your work? Why do you not think this is window decoration? We could put this at Saks Fifth Avenue in one of those windows. And that's what that is.
She wanted you to come out.
I got so mad, and I don't remember what I said, and this and that, and this is why I do this. And she sat there because I was sitting in the low couch, and she was sitting on a bar stool in front of me, talking down at me, right? Like that. Oh, it was just. And at one point, I just got so wound up, and I told her the way why I'm doing this, and blah blah blah. And she sat there, and then she smiled. And she said, this is exactly what I wanted to hear. So the next time you come, you bring more stuff, and we talk from here on.
Oh,
and then,
wow.
I know. And then she actually invited me. She says, if you're still here, I'm having dinner with, what's his name? Tapier tonight, if you want to come for dinner with us. And I'm like, I'm in my mid-20s. Oh, what do I say? Oh, I have to go on my plane.
You sound like when guys invite me out for dinner, you sound like they go like, oh no, sorry, I got to do something.
I know, it was so ridiculous. I'm like, even years now, when I think about it, this was like the stupidest answer ever. I should have missed my plane a million times. But whatever. And then from here on out, every year, I would go there with my work. And at one point, she had such a crack in her slide, these old slide boxes. She had a giant crack through it. So I finally decided, remember when the thin ones came out?
Yeah.
I bought her a thin one and I brought it. Because I said, I can't look at this anymore, because how can you even look at slides with the same?
So, Lilli, are you coming back for 2021 to Venice?
Well, I have a project, and actually, Madonna della what is the convent in Canareccio, a women's convent.
Marisa, well, I'm just asking Marisa. She's gonna tell us. She's watching. She will tell.
Madonna dell'Orto.
Madonna dell'Orto. Okay. Oh yes, beautiful there.
So the courtyard. So I'm going to do a Last Supper installation there.
Ooh.
So I'm planning on that, and I was all set with Claudia. I think it's Claudia, her name. I can't remember, the curator there, because a friend of mine that also lives in Venice, she's from England. She met her, talked to her about me at the last Biennale. I think it was in September, before the high water, and she knew my work from the boat project in the Zitelle.
Yeah.
And so we've been communicating, and so I'm right now working on this project, even though it might postpone. I don't know, but I'm still planning on it. And if it gets postponed, we're just postponing a few months. But in the meantime, I'm working on the whole entire thing. It's going to be it's all about how do you pray. It's all about universal prayer from all around the world. We have different ways how we practice spirituality. And I want to set it up with casts of hands, how people express their spirituality, and have them all set in a giant Last Supper in the courtyard of Madonna dell'Orto. That's the big plan. Yeah.
Well, if you need Venetian peoples, between me and Alison, I'm pretty sure we can bring some.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful.
You will have definitely all the Venetian bloggers coming now. Because I don't watch it, so we definitely all be coming, that's for sure. Plus all the articles, so that would be nice. By the way, do you remember? Did you manage to have wear something, a jewelry or a clothing? Do you remember? Handmade.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a few things. One of them is these rings were made by this guy artist.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it is Marco Franza. Here, wait, can you see it?
No, yeah, but okay, that's
here.
Okay.
Franza.
Okay.
And here is, so it's Marco Franza.
Okay.
What is it?
Yeah,
Something
.it, yes. What is it?
That is a tiny little store. He makes the jewelry right in the store, in the back.
But where, in Venice?
In Venice.
Oh, really?
It's in Venice.
I need to go and find that. Yeah, Marisa, I saw the ring. Marisa, I saw the ring. I like that ring. That is gorgeous. I like that.
Then I have to say hello to Mr. Gutenberg.
Okay.
He is
yes.
old, yeah. He saved all of our lives so many times with business cards. I love him because he makes all these beautiful cards, these beautiful designs that he still has. And he even made me, like, I had to go back 3 times last year during my installation because I ran out of business cards. So he had to make me all these different business cards.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love the stuff. I love the stuff.
Oh, I love him.
And where is your? Oh, you got some more. Oh, you make up for everybody else. Oh, nice. What's that?
This is the book that I made, Venice Journal, off my project from 2017.
Is it online?
I don't have it online, but you can basically DM me, and because they're only made and produced as I get an order in. So if somebody wants it, they can just. And it's about this project, and you can see the Zitelle, and I have like a couple of photo shoots. This is my bio in the back, and then you have, there's a lot of text in like very little text, more visuals, like when I did the photo shoot.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, so these kind of things.
And
it all has text to it about my little notes about Venice and the mystery of it and the fascination, the culture, the depths, and the Zitelle. There's a little excerpt there on the Zitelle because I did the project in there, you know.
Have you got sign with your details, your social media, so we can follow you?
That was the hardest part to do.
Because you got to do it the other way around. I know everybody. Go backwards a little bit, just a tiny little bit backwards. That's it. So is the real Lilli Muller, www.lillimuller.us. Oh, grazie mille. I'm trying to read what you wrote. That is beautiful. Oh, Lilli, you're so funny. Oh, I can't wait until you come over now. And I tell everybody, go and have a look at her website because she's got amazing stuff. And I can't wait to see the new exhibition. And I think this year, when you're going to be doing it next year, you're going to have a lot of people coming to the opening, you know, now.
Wonderful. Well, I love that. Yes, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. That was
really
incredible.
nice. You're so cool. I love meeting people like you. We're all so full of energy. And I think right now, that's what, oh, I didn't even ask you. How are you coping with it? Thank God I didn't. How are you coping with quarantine?
I just make unlimited artwork. I have 5 projects and I kind of move from one to the other, to the other, to the other. Wait, I have actually, I'm doing an online art show end of April. I just conceptualized and shot the entire project yesterday, actually.
Oh.
So I'm going to do an online little art reception and a little thing.
Let us know. Let us put your Facebook and we share it so we come, you know, like I did for my birthday party. You can have it on Zoom, you can have it on.
That was fun.
You know, that was hard to do, but it worked, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Lilli, thank you so much. I love having you. I love talking to you, and I can't wait to meet you now. It was so nice.
I know.
We go with Alison on our boat.
Yes, yes, Allison on the boat, definitely. Prosecco, spritz, the whole 9 yards.
Champagne. Champagne.
Champagne, definitely.
I'll just cut you now, and I'm talking a little bit. Ciao, thank you so much again. Ciao, ciao. Ciao.